Is Mitt Romney leading the Republican Party, or is it sometimes the other way around? This week's convention provides a perfect opportunity to put that question to rest. The challenge for Romney is to define himself in a way that attracts folks in the middle, but doesn't alienate the conservative wing of his party. Joining me now, Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson, point man for Mitt Romney on Capitol Hill, and Illinois Republican Congressman Aaron Schock, a close workout partner of Mr. Paul Ryan. You've already done your workout today, right?
That's right.
We got it done. Senator Johnson, I want to start with you. I want to talk about the Midwest here in a minute, but also this issue of, does Mitt Romney represent where today's Republican Party is? You were thought of as a Tea Party victor in 2010. Did you think Mitt Romney was Tea Party, or is it just he's titular head of the party? Where do you put him on the spectrum?
I decided to endorse Mitt Romney right before the Wisconsin primary because I had a chance to meet with him, and I had no doubt that on the major issues, the debt and deficit, repealing Obamacare, Governor Romney is not only totally knowledgeable about those issues and 100% dedicated to repealing Obamacare and getting our debt and deficit under control. And the beauty about picking Paul Ryan is not only is he Paul knowledgeable, can help craft the legislation, help get it passed, but it certainly signals, confirms, what I already knew, that Governor Romney is serious about making this a mandated election and actually deficit issues. So, no, I mean, he's absolutely on the same page with everybody across the spectrum in the Republican Party.
But it is interesting, Congressman. I mean, this is, you could argue, what are we, the third straight Republican nominee who's more moderate than the platform?
Well, I think you asked a question about the Tea Party. The interesting thing is they stand for one thing, taxed enough already. And on the issue of taxes and debt, I can't imagine a better team than Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan to tackle the deficit, to keep tax rates under control, to do comprehensive tax reform, which is what Paul's been at the center of on the Ways and Means Committee. And I think at the end of the day, Mitt is a great person. I wouldn't say he's moderate. I would say he is somebody who has conservative principles, but has an ability to reach out to independent Democrat voters like he did in Massachusetts in order to get things done. And I think one thing that's lacking in Washington, D.C. are not people who have certain principles, but people that can actually get things done, get the ball through the hoop. And that's something that both Mitt and Paul have shown.
Will, though, the sort of the Tea Party wing of the party on Capitol Hill allow a Romney-Ryan administration to move if necessary?
Well, what we need in Washington is leadership, and that is what has been just utterly lacking under this president. The fact of the matter is, President Obama's proposed 4 budgets. Never once has he proposed a solution to save you the Social Security and Medicare. His last 2 budgets, Chuck, you know this, 3 votes in the United States Congress.
Well, those weren't real. They were sort of direct mail votes.
It is his budget. Total vote tally 0 to 610. So unserious when we're facing financial calamity that not a member of his own party is going to get involved.
Look, you know those sort of legislative games.
Okay, so you're saying the president's budget is not serious. That's the point I'm making. We need leadership, and that's what Paul Ryan and Governor Romney bring to the table. They're actually going to lead on these issues.
I want to ask you a specific question. It was interesting, something that Mitt Romney said yesterday on Fox about this idea of how personal does he need to get. He gave an interesting, you might agree with. Here's what he said.
All I can do is be who I am. Remember that Popeye line, I am what I am, and that's all what I am? And I'm doing my very best to try and get this country back on track.
Senator, you were a first-time politician when you ran. I'm guessing you had plenty of consultants that said, hey, you need to tell more personal stories about yourself. You didn't do that as much. You think that Mitt Romney's getting sort of conflicting advice here?
Well, listen, what Governor Romney needs to do on Thursday, I'm sure he'll do it, is he'll reveal who he is as an individual. A phenomenal family man, somebody who puts faith and family first. But then from a standpoint of governing, he'll put America first. I'm thoroughly convinced that both Governor Romney and Paul Ryan aren't running for president, vice president for the title, but because they're concerned about what's happening in this country, they want to become president, vice president to actually solve the problem. And that's what Governor Romney really needs to convey. And I'm sure he's capable of doing it.
Congressman Schock, in the Midwest, why has there been a hesitance till now for Republicans in general? It's been a Democratic stronghold in presidential elections, much of what I would call the agricultural Midwest, where you two represent.
Well, I think people are waking up. I mean, you look at states, I'm from Illinois, I'm the president's home state. 2 years after the president was in power, the Senate seat that he held went to Mark Kirk, a Republican. More voters in Illinois voted for a Republican congressman than a Democrat congressman. The first time in 30 years, we now have a majority Republican delegation administration from the president's home state. Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan have Republican governors and Republican House and Senates. I think that's pretty telling, and I think Paul Ryan's joining the ticket helps us in the Midwest as well. Iowa's going to be a battleground state as well. But, you know, I think what Senator Johnson hit on, which is so lacking, what people say back home is, Washington's broken. Why can't you guys go out there and get things done? Why can't you get things fixed? And I think what Governor Romney demonstrates is his ability to get things done. But Paul Ryan, you talked about budget votes. His vote was serious. And Paul's budget was so serious
Did he
that
make a mistake on Bull Simpson, though, voting against it?
Absolutely not. It didn't deal with the major cost drivers, which were health care, which were Medicare. But look, his budget got more votes. This is an important fact. Paul Ryan's budget got more votes in the affirmative in the House of Representatives than any budget that's passed the House in the last 15 years. That's real leadership, and he was able to bridge the gap from the most liberal to the most conservative members of his party.
Got to figure out how to get Democrats to support that budget.
Chuck,
I mean, that's been the issue.
Well, the Democrats haven't supported any budget. They haven't supported the president's budget. They haven't supported
across the Midwest, the people who live there are fiscally conservative. They have this funny notion that government ought to live within its means, and they're watching this explosion of debt. They're appalled by it, and that is why they're starting to turn to conservatives that are actually going to lead in that issue.
Senator Johnson, Congressman Schock, thank you both for coming in this morning. Still to come here live from Tampa. We're keeping our eyes, of course, on Isaac as it gathers strength out in the Gulf. Plus, step aside President Obama, former Florida